are seated, we're going to have those two blankets or two towels and a pillow or bolster handy. And we'll just settle into a nice comfy seat. Something where your spine can get nice and vertical. Eyes can close. You can feel into the physicality of the breath, the ease of the posture. So there's this little village, perfectly nestled at the base of a mountain. Base of two mountains, really. Kind of in the base of the valley. Perfect location for this little village to rest. Think about finding the ideal location for your spine to rest here. Give ourselves just about 40 more seconds just to feel integrated in the spine. Feel fluidity and ease in the breath. This little village should enjoy the benefits of the protection of the mountains and the ease of existing in this valley for as long as anyone can remember. When it feels appropriate, we'll let the eyes open if they're closed. And let's exhale and let the chin fall down to the sternum. As the chin falls, think about softening the shoulder girdle, not retracting back in the middle of the torso, but just softening the shoulder girdle. And then as you exhale, think about softness between the exchange or interchange between the neck and the torso. Head back to neutral. Think about re-broadening across the shoulder girdle, and let's exhale to turn our head towards the right. And then with the head fully rotated, drop your chin down towards your shoulder. See if you can feel that lateral pull along the left side of the body. And then we'll bring our chin back up to neutral and bring the head back to neutral. And exhale, let the chin fall to the sternum. See if you can feel into some asymmetry here between the left and right side of the body. Can you be more fully at ease? Inhale our chin back to neutral. Exhale, let the head rotate to that second side. Get that full rotation first. Think about full rotation and then exhale the chin down towards the shoulder. See if you can feel that lateral edge, that lateral line on the right side expanding. And then we'll bring our head back, or chin back to neutral, and then head back to neutral. And this time as you inhale, let the chin reach up towards the ceiling. And we'll exhale the head back to neutral. And just think about kind of realigning at neutral here. Let's inhale the arms out in front of us. And as the arms come out in front of you, let the palms come together and interlace the fingers. And then see if it's accessible to turn the palms away from you. And if you can get those palms away from you, Just press into that wall, retracting the humeral head so we get that big broadening across the shoulder girdle still. And then drop the chin to the sternum. And then inhale and lift the chin. Exhale, drop the chin. Inhale, lift the chin. Exhale, drop the chin. Inhale, lift. And exhale, relax. The arms, feel the shoulder, the whole entirety of the shoulder girdle just kind of come to ease. Palms come up. Spine gets balanced and neutral, and then breath find its way back into that fluidity. Let's give ourselves just 30 more seconds here just to find our way back into that centered balance. Feels appropriate. Let's just transition to staff. So extending the legs out in front of us. And refocus on the spinal verticality first, and then let's just take ourselves forward into a little seated forward fold. Just kind of a little communication with the posterior chain. Think about where you can soften, where you have the opportunity to be more at ease. How you can utilize your breath to grant you more space. We'll give ourselves about 30 more seconds here. Big, full inhale breath. Complete releasing exhale breath. And then we'll find our way back into staff. And let's engage with a blanket, towel, or bolster here. We're going to work our way into a supported bridge. So whichever prop you have that gives you kind of the most stability and density, let's utilize that. And how you utilize that, completely up to you, right? The supported bridge of your choice, I'm going to create kind of an approximation of a block. So from a shelf fold to a hamburger, then come up with something like this. But how you use your props, totally up to you. Let's keep our other props handy first, blanket or towel in a hot dog fold. So we end up with something like this. And then our pillow or bolster just handy so we can have easy access to it. With the prop that we set up, I'll move my props out of the way. Let's carry that with us as we lower ourselves onto our spine and settle here. And then just knees bent,
kneecaps towards the ceiling, lift ourselves high enough that we can slide our prop underneath the sacrum. Make sure you're on the sacrum, not the lumbar. And just relax your way into this. Really thinking here about how the low back bend is playing out in your body. So we want the thoracic spine to be really neutral against our mat. And we want this elevation of our hips to be creating this low back bend, this lumbar adjustment. And then we can play with our leg positioning. So if it feels appropriate, we can extend our legs down the mat. It kind of increases the pull on the anterior and posterior chains. So we end up with like a little bit more potential for tension in the chain. So for most of us, for a lot of us, we'll probably feel that in the lumbar. It's kind of the weak point for most of us in the system. But you don't have to have the legs extended. You can have the knees bent. You can even have the bottoms of the feet together. But finding the right position for you. We're really going to slow things down today. And it can be anywhere, right? You can be at cactus, you can be at T by your side. Probably would be my suggestion to continue the softness in the shoulder girdle that we've started practice with. But whatever feels most impactful and beneficial for you is the choice you should make. And then really slowing down our breath. Feeling into the shape you've settled into. Thinking about how that shape is benefiting you. And thinking about how your breath is benefiting that shape. And so it wasn't just the fertile soils or the protection from the howling winds that the mountains offered that benefited this little village. We had something incredibly special. In the center of town, they had built this massive concrete podium. A podium people would walk to, facing the kind of rocky valley between these two mountains that the village sat between. And from the podium and into the valley, they would shout questions. And those questions never went unanswered. The valley, the mountain, the air, some unknown entity There's debate as to what would answer. But no matter what question was asked, an answer was provided. You sit here in this elevated hip position. Can you pay particular attention to how you're using the bottom third of your lungs in your respiration? It's very easy as the weight of the connection, right, happens right around our thoracic joint, right at the base of the rib cage. It's very easy for all of our respiration to be happening in the upper 2/3 of the lungs. Think about expanding completely into that lung space as you settle here. As you breathe here. Think about the slowness and the ease in your breath. From this position, we'll give ourselves just about 60 more seconds to really feel in, to use our breath to release, to be completely relaxed into this shape, fully expanded into this shape. Feels appropriate for you, let's bend our knees if they're not bent. And we'll lift our belt line high enough to slide our prop out from underneath us. If we're using a blanket or towel, let's take that blanket and towel and unfold it to blanket length, and then we'll roll that. We'll just set that to the side for the moment. If you're not using a blanket, obviously we'll just grab a blanket or towel. And then let's let the knees fall over towards the left. And as that happens, let your right knee carry into a twist where your left hand can connect with the lateral edge of that right thigh. Give a little downward engagement, encouragement maybe. We're not forcing here, just trying to deepen the twist.
and then we'll come back to neutral. And we'll do the same thing to that second side. So left leg works beyond the distance of the right, and then the right hand just a little encouragement into rotation. And just feel the hips and the lumbar with a reset. And then we'll come back to neutral. Let's take this longer rolled blanket. We'll end up in a little supported butterfly. Going to come over the ankles, bottoms of the feet come together, knees fall out wide, and you just have some support on either side, settling in. Very different spinal alignment than the shape that we just settled into with that support, right? So here we have more neutrality. With the knees out wide, there's a little subtle and kind of natural arching into extension of the lumbar. Think about relaxing into the weight at the hips. So the ilium, the sacrum, this kind of pelvic bowl region is just feeling more and more grounded each time you exhale. And really think about shifting that weight from kind of the middle of the spine down to the hips as you exhale, so that you're using the bottom third of your lungs in the respiration on the exhale side of your breath. Anchoring and grounding into that pelvic bowl with each exhale. And we're just settling back in. And so whenever anyone, a question, conflict, a doubt, they would make their way to this grand podium. And they would shout that question or doubt into the valley. And an answer would come back. Kind of riding the waves of the echo. And this was an incredibly valuable asset for this village. Having someone, something answer all of your questions certainly has a lot of benefit. And so this village was remarkably prosperous, remarkably fortunate. Many members of the community felt like they were chosen special entities, not as individuals, but as a community. Almost as if something was always looking out and looking into their best interest, as long as they were willing to ask the questions. Really think about that bottom third, lower third of your lung capacity as you
exhale so that the sacrum, hip girdle, pelvic bowl anchors more and more into the shape. About not only the fullness of the lung capacity, but also the rate of respiration. Think about how you can continually and constantly slow down that rate of respiration. Maybe even as you lie here, build an approximation of how many cycles of breath you might be doing in 60 seconds. And see if you can put that down by 25%, 50%, 75%. Enough. So that you can feel the additional ease in your body. About 90 more seconds here. More big, full, impactful inhale. And a full, impactful, releasing exhale. Landing that sacrum, that pelvic bowl. And we'll bring our knees back up to neutral. And we can take that blanket off of the ankles. You may want to keep this roll. Our goal here is going to be to build a prop stack underneath the knees. So I'm going to start with a blanket on top of a bolster or pillow. You could also take that third rolled blanket and place that on top of that. So you end up with as much of a supportive stack as is possible with your props, and then just right under the knees. as much lift and elevation as possible. The way we've kind of worked our spine here is elevated hips, kind of neutral mid-body, and now we are more or less kind of anchoring and landing in this mid-body with the knees elevated. So kind of 3 stages of release of the spine. Let your arms fall where they feel most impactful or beneficial. Just fully roll here. And so, while almost everyone in town didn't think much beyond the fact that you were privileged and lucky to have access to this podium, these responses, to these answers to their questions. There was one young woman who just needed to know more. And so when the community gathered around particularly big events in which they would ask collective questions to the echoes, she would always ask those around her where these answers were coming from. Who or what was providing them. And pretty much everyone kind of had the same response, the same understanding. It was the mountains themselves. The mountains looked after their village. The mountains answered their questions. The mountains provided the guidance needed to thrive. So one day, she decided she needed to know more. And she set off on a journey into the valley. Beyond where anyone had ever traveled, at least anyone who'd ever lived. She could find out where these answers were coming from. Prepped with everything she could think that she might need. And she set off. Remember here, as the entirety of the lung cavity sits neutral, how you can access the entirety of the lung cavity through your respiration. And how the impact of duration within your breath impacts the entirety of your body, of your being, of your ease, of your ability to settle. And explore that through each cycle of breath. Think about where in your body you're feeling restriction. You're feeling a sense of discomfort or a sense of lacking of ease, of cohesiveness. And just connect to the tool that is your breath and see if you're able to impact those areas. See if you're able to smooth out your breath. You're able to smooth out a lack of cohesion within the body. Give ourselves about another 90 seconds here. Easy, fluid breath. Supporting you, anchoring you, and allowing the entirety of your body to be more cohesive, more integrated. feels appropriate, let's take one more big, full inhale breath. And deep, complete exhale breath. And we'll get into a position where we can remove our props. Put those to the side. Keep them handy if you'd like to use them for Shavasana. And then allow your body to feel fully neutral. If we haven't been in yet today. Just think about from bottom to top, full neutrality, and how you can feel that spinal integration against the neutrality. Let's let both knees fall to the left. We'll do the same thing when the right leg goes further than the left, and that left hand can capture the thigh for a little encouraged additional rotation. We'll hold this for a bit longer than our previous top here. Think about getting into the full depth of the shape and then relaxing into it further with your breath. See if you can relax that hip flexor as you exhale. Almost like just full decompression of the body. Seconds here. Big full inhale. Full deep exhale. Bring our knees back to neutral. Pull both thighs in towards the torso and give yourself a nice little squeeze. Let the feet come back down to the mat. And we'll let the knees fall to the second side. The left knee is going to go beyond the right, and the right hand's going to capture that. We're just settling into the twist. About using our breath to expand our body's ability to rotate. full capacity to respirate, expand and release the lungs. Seconds here on the second side. Big full inhale. Full deep releasing exhale. Our knees back to neutral. Pull the thighs in towards the torso. Give yourself a nice little squeeze. Relax our feet back down to the mat. As the feet settle here, ask yourself if there's any movement you might want, might need, or could benefit from prior to Shavasana. And if there is, let's take the opportunity to give that to ourselves. And if you feel like you have everything that you need, let's settle into a place of stillness where we can fully appreciate our Shavasana this morning. After days of travel, kind of overwhelmed with the harshness of the conditions and exhausted by the effort, exertion, this young woman reached the mountaintop only to find this vast, almost unsettling silence. Fully and deeply being at ease here.
this young woman sat in this perfect stillness, this perfect, almost eerie silence. It was broken. This distorted, almost voice-like broken sound started bouncing and echoing off the walls. It got closer to her, and then it bounced and echoed back, even more distorted, even more broken. And she waited in silence, and then another, and then silence, and then another. And she realized that she was hearing the questions coming from her village. And she was hearing that they didn't arrive as questions. They arrived as distorted sounds, echoes bouncing off of rock wall after rock wall after rock wall. And she realized that the echoes, the answers coming back to the village, had never really been wise. They'd never really even been answers. They were just mirrors, desires of what people wanted to hear, morphed and shaped from the sounds, chaos. We'll start to bring some movement to our fingers and our toes, into our wrists and our ankles. Into our elbows and our knees, our shoulders, our hips, neck, head, jaw, eyes, tongue. Oh, eventually the entirety of the body will move. We'll utilize that movement to transition from the shapes we are in back into a seat. Setting your body into a shape where your spine can be vertical, letting your eyes close, letting your breath get fluid and easy, finding stillness as we inhale our hands together, heart center. Over the course of the next 7 days, can you remind yourself that echoes can comfort, but only reality can lead, and see how that impacts your experience. Thank you so much for being a part of this morning's practice and for being you. Namaste. Happy Sunday, guys. Appreciate the heck out of you being here. Love you very much. I will be back tomorrow night to move, and we'll do this again next Sunday. If I see you tomorrow, have a beautiful day. If I see you next week, have a beautiful week. Mwah.